After the West fertilizer plant explosion in 2013 left 15 dead and hundreds injured, the Obama administration put policies in place to prevent a deadly tragedy like that from happening again. However, recent changes in Washington could jeopardize that effort by removing those safety regulations. Fox 44's Kendall Green, he joins us live in the studio with that report. Hey, Kendall.
Hey, Adam. The mayor of West saw and felt the blast from the explosion 6.5 years ago firsthand. He says unsafe practices by the fertilizer plant are to blame for the explosion. He thinks more relaxed policies for chemical plants only 6 years later are not the way to go.
Right after the explosion, the Obama administration worked with the EPA to revise some of the regulations regarding chemicals and ammonia, specifically ammonium nitrate. And they worked on that for a number of years.
But last Thursday, the Trump administration finalized a plan to rid, quote, unnecessary regulatory burdens on chemical plants that align with the business plans of the chemical industry. The new regulations will eliminate or ease requirements that plant owners consider safer alternatives to various technologies, get third-party audits for compliance with accident prevention rules, conduct root cause analysis after incidents, or disclose certain information to the community about operations. The mayor of West, who witnessed the explosion, says Washington's new regulations suggest that they've forgotten what the city of West went through.
They forget in Washington very quickly. They have very short memories because, 6 years later, we're yesterday's news. And it's still fresh on our minds, not on theirs.
He adds that if environmental protection agencies had a clearer view of the devastation, the revamped policies would be reconsidered.
I would like those people at the EPA to say to go to 12 funerals in 8 days, like I did, to my friends and fellow firefighters, and then ask themselves if they did enough to protect the public from chemicals. I don't think they did.
Mayor Muska says the city of West, though the new policies won't affect them, stands as an example for hundreds of cities who will be affected by them.
They're all over the country. So yes, it still poses. Ammonium nitrate is a chemical that, as proved in West, can blow up.
He says though he's not a fan of regulation, some regulation is vital to ensure safety.
There's a fine line between regulating, hazardous chemicals and keeping the farmers and the producers and the fertilizer plants, in business. And there's a middle ground that I don't think they worked hard enough to find.
The EPA said in a press release that the new plan will save Americans $88 million a year. That will come by removing the requirements to consider safer alternatives, with other savings stemming from eliminating audits and root-causing investigations. Adam?